then we see that in the end, even with the deputy president having been at The Hague, the sovereignty of a nation has been tested. In the end, the African nations and all the, actually the Assembly of State Parties may want to see to what extent and how effectively does the ICC deliver its mandate while testing or not testing the sovereignty of nations. So those are things that are likely to come out. And believe you me or not, if and whichever way, and especially if these, the accused before the court today are left off the hook, heroes will have been made, and a puncture will have been dealt on the body of the ICC, and an indelible mark also of regret and pain and anguish, especially on the victims of the post-election violence. But then again, one may want to ask themselves, if at all the ruling goes in favor of the motion, no case to answer, one may want to weigh the kind of anguish, pain on the persons who had been accused initially, their families, because all this comes to bear. And then now, what will the court have to say? Right. What will Bensouda, the prosecutor, have to say about that possible ruling?
Right.
And that one brings us to, I agree with Javas, it brings us to, there has never been, I don't know whether you have seen any, there have never been a ruling on proof beyond reasonable doubt. No.
Right. And let's just get
it takes us to balance of probability. I'm looking at this case going balance of probability because they don't, one, a case doesn't have death certificates. Not a single death certificate can, you see, to prove a case beyond reasonable doubt, Kivira Magistrates Court will ask you for those certificates and so on. This one, there is nothing.
Right.
So they are just going to do a political ruling. There's no legal ruling here. If the ruling comes against the suspect, it will be a political ruling, and that is my condemnation.
And Kenya has been a first for the ICC in many cases. Is this the first time that the ICC is doing a no case to answer motion?
Yeah, it is, because it is not even in the statute.
Right.
And in fact, Osuji was saying, are you sure you want to go this route? And a part of my problems with these cases is speaking out like I'm doing in Michelle.
Right.
I always see some things, because from 2005, I've known how this court operates. Osuji was asking last year, he said, are you sure you want to go this route? Because there is nothing in the statute that says there is no case to answer. Two, the problem we have in ICC, there is no jury. There is no jury. And most of the lawyers that have been defending this are jury lawyers, best lawyers. And I'm honest. Being honest does not mean I'm against any of the lawyers or the suspects. I'm being honest that there is no jury here. Your friend is the judge Osuji, and the framer and the ogler. Those are your friends. Between you and God, those are your friends. There is no jury in the middle. So if you bring a lot of theatrics, operational theatrics, stick to the law and hammer points home to the judges so that they don't ask you too many questions. So this is a dangerous court. A court we created which has no jury. It sentences you, it can take you, it balances Taylor. One witness took Taylor. 12 witnesses took Thomas Lubanga.
Right.
On balance of probability. So let's be very honest and objective when reasoning these things. Let's not be myopic by saying, by theory being carried out that these are very dangerous people. They know they have a fake case. She knows she's gonna, Matanga is looking for her. She has to justify why she ate 1 billion euros, 426 million euros wasted on people building houses in Runda and some marrying women out of ICC money. Those who had no wives have wives out of the plight of the Ruto, Uhuru, Sang, and others. They made money. NGOs made money out of this.
Right.
And I'm inquiring, why did this money go to somebody in Kenya to go and fetch witnesses as an intermediary and a PhD out of it? That is my inquiry. And international justice will not let me down. I will get to the bottom of this, why these innocent guys were faked, an envelope is kept. When I go to the High Court of the Republic of Kenya looking for the envelope, people want to shoot me.
All right. Those are serious allegations, however, Matsanga, do you have any kind of...
They're not, the envelope, no, you're a Kenyan, Javas is a Kenyan, and I'm talking to the Kenyan and the world at large. Show me, if this is credible, why is it that Waki did not give Mr. Kibaki the envelope,
Right.
a copy? Why is it that 14 people are not known? Why did you choose on the tall Kenyatta and the short Sang? What credibility did you use to choose? Let's talk facts. I am not against anybody. I just want the truth. And this matter is now in international waters. If you refuse me the envelope, I'll go to London, because London is also a signatory of ICC. I bet I'll get it. One day I need to know the people in the envelope. Who are these? How did they come to choose Kenyatta and not somebody else? And that is a painful thing, which is now here. That's why you see this court is at crossroads. Why do you allow even... That's why Karim was right to say, this is a chassis, broken, tires are gone, because the fakeness. Let's be honest. Africa should be honest about this. These are fake cases.
Right. So we are waiting, of course, to see the outcome of that landmark ruling by the ICC. But let's move on to another issue that is quite a topic of debate, the Eurobond saga. This past week, we saw Honorable Raila Odinga release a list of names of the persons of interest that are involved in the Eurobond scandal, which he says hundreds of millions of money are missing. Bigambo, what's your take, first of all, on the names that are released?
Well, first, I think the names of the released, those that were issued by the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, and the way he read out his statement is that these are persons of interest. So he downgraded them from being persons who are culpable in this Eurobond saga to persons of interest who may possibly provide necessary information when this matter goes into further inquiry. We know that inquiry has been going on. Though also we know very well that from whence those names came, it is from various relevant websites, in these matters, which I think may not have necessarily been, should have been the case. Because if you are a person guarding or tasked with the duty of overseeing or sitting on a board of a particular institution, doesn't mean that you are necessarily directly involved in certain situations to do with transactions and whatnot. However, it must not be lost on any person that the vital questions being raised by the opposition and by other Kenyans about the Eurobond are questions of national interest. We must not actually concentrate so much on the hogwash way of how the political spectacle is playing out on the Eurobond issue, because unfortunately the divide is shaping up to be an opposition and government issue.
Issue, absolutely.
And the place of accountability gets to sink and lost. Tell you one thing, this is how nations fail. The question of the money is here, because in the end, on the head of every Kenyan, even those yet to be born, the debt of this country affects them. And that is why the question of the Eurobond is very critical. It must not actually be let to be swept beneath the carpet. And that is why, while there are evident errors in how a code has reflected on this matter, I think it is important for the head of state and the relevant institutions to come clean on these issues. There is nothing as wrong as a government failing to offer or to give answers to the critical questions being asked by its citizenry. Because when you tether your thinking to the social contract, a government owes such duty to the people who placed it into power. And that's where we need to start focusing on.
Right. Now, Matsanga, you've been in our studios time and time again saying Raila should stop saying that I have names, I will release the names, and actually just go out and release the names. Now, this week, he released the names. What's your take on that?
These are wrong names.
Really?
Actually, Raila has done like Ocampo.
Okay.
Look, these are all people we know. We know Ndungu was the governor. We know Mohammed, my great friend Mohammed, is the chairman of CBK. What? I wish I did PR for this guy. The PR prime minister does not have even any shred of evidence, the slightest, on how much money was taken by each. He has just dropped the names for the sake of convincing his people. People were on him. They said deadline has arrived, bring the names. 2, the government should look into where are these documents coming from. And I've told you, I'm on record. These documents that are being flashed around, you say websites, we saw all this. 3, the government handling was wrong, the way the communication strategy. I said it long time ago and people got annoyed with me. But now at least they are beginning to do something. I can see the government hitting back. Communication is very important in this. The government at first faltered, then they did not come out with straight figures like now they are doing in newspapers. Put the facts outside, let economists like my friend David D, who is doing some shallow analysis in economics. It is very shallow because when you look at it, even now, somebody who has not studied economics like me, who knows something about it, I say, no, this is not correct, it's political. Let these cases of corruption not be politicized. A Kenyan has a right to ask, how was the money used? Because I've told you, some people in the village, I was driving a few days ago towards Mombasa, and somebody said, where is the Eurobond bread? Give me some bread. At one of the petrol stations, said, Dr. Matanga, give me some bread of Eurobond. So people think that Eurobond is a big loaf that has been taken. So the prime minister, the former prime minister, has taken that, and you know his politics is the politics of serious masses. He deals with masses. They like him. He's an orator on masses. And if he says the money was taken, the Eurobond, the loaf was taken, they would agree.
Right.
But coming to the point, before I give my friend a chance, coming to this, the reality is, let the government clean its public relations exercise. There are many good things that the Jubilee government has done, which we don't see every day being told to the wananchi. And the time is running out that gaps are being filled by the opposition, which is its duty to poke no holes into the government institutions. What is happening? They have done, that is the democracy. And that is, they are allowed to ask queries when you don't give them the correct answer.
Right. And of course, we've seen the National Treasury also in the past few days in the dailies print out an account of how the money was spent, the Eurobond money was spent, in countering, of course, Raila Odinga's State of the Nation address, releasing those names. But now, Bigambo, I don't know if you're aware of this, but in the dailies today, there is a story that the National Treasury is planning to acquire another Eurobond loan. You know, what's your take on that?
Well, you see, if the National Treasury goes ahead again for another Eurobond, then I think it will be a government that is taking the people for granted and the questions of accountability for granted. I'll tell you for a fact that the place of the PFM Act must remain sovereign and important. And before they even contemplate acquiring, some other debt, which people will pay yet again, it is important that the dust about this matter of the present Eurobond is settled.
Yes.
Believe you me, it must not, it will be very reductionist to look at all this affair in how the follies of Raila Odinga and all that. Question is, this is public funds.